Alright, so what we want to do is take a look at attaching a head onto our model. We have the arms essentially in place. Um, we need to work out the back a little bit more and the legs and all that good stuff. So let's create a very basic head. So what I'm going to do is go to Subtool here, and I'm just going to go to a pen and then add a sphere. Now with this, with symmetry on, right, I hit W for move and then Alt. I'm just going to move it up. Now, here's the trick, because we want it to be perfectly symmetrical, right? We don't want to screw up um, the placement, right? So if we, of this, so when I hit Alt to move this sphere up, I'm actually at the same time hitting Shift right away. So Alt and Shift, right? So that it snaps, right? So as we're moving this, it moves in one axis. Right? And if you hit X, what you'll notice is there's a level of symmetry, right, when you do it that way. So always, double check. So as you're moving this, right, so let's hit W to move it around. We want to hold Alt and Shift, right? Now with the newer version, you can just click on the up arrow, which is a lot easier, right? So something like this. And if you do it off kilter, notice that it does not, if I move it off to the side here, notice that my symmetry is off now, which is not what we want. So let's undo that a couple times so that we make sure that our symmetry is right. I'm going to go ahead and from the center here now, right? Make sure that this is perfectly symmetrical. There we go. I'm going to scale this down. Same thing, just holding Alt and Shift, moving it into place, and moving it back this way. So just something like that. Now I'm going to hit Q. Let's make sure that our symmetry did not get screwed up, right? Pretty good. And I'm going to go ahead and scale this down. And what we could do is I like to go in right away and then just hit geometry and then Z remesh this. So geometry here, deformation, or I'm sorry, geometry here, then Z remesh at a pretty low resolution. So bring it all the way down, hit that, and let's make sure our symmetry is still working. Alright, now with this, I'm gonna grab my move tool, so BMT, and I'm just gonna pull out the chin and the front of the face here. So something like that, okay? Now what I do is I'm just getting a very basic egg shape. So something like that. Notice I pulled the chin down, I push the sides in, and there's like my egg shape for the head, and then I move this bottom piece up. Now what I'm going to do is hit Control D a couple times. I just divided it. And on the bottom here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my brush down, and I'm going to hold Control, and I'm going to mask out an area, see that, where a neck would come. Then I'm going to hold Control and click on the surface, click off here so it inverts it. And then I'm going to hit my Move Topological brush and bring that all the way down and into the body like this. Alright? So we get something that looks like this. Now I'm going to hold Control and just swipe out, and Control and just kind of swipe out to deselect. And I'm going to go in here and Z remesh that again. And I'm just, again, kind of grabbing my Move Topological brush, sort of playing with the shape here, pulling my neck out a little bit more, right? We have the basics of essentially what a head is. And I'm not really worried, because I'm going to show you guys how to bring in image planes and stuff later. I'm not really worried about if it's perfect in anatomy or scale or anything like that, because I can always move this clay around. Alright, so I want to make sure that's inside of there. Alright, we get something like that. And I'm going to go into here and do the same thing we did before, which is merge this down. And then geometry, make sure Dynamesh is on, which it is, and then hold Control and scroll out. And you can see now the whole thing is welded together. And what I like to do is I like to Z remesh the whole thing one more time so it's all even in geometry. So if I hit this, you'll notice I now get a nice low poly model, right? Now that kind of got screwed up a little bit, so let's bring this up a little bit more and make sure that we're retaining some of that shape when we Z-remesh. Oops, let's see if we get a little bit closer in here. Did it screw up the knuckles or anything? No, it looks good. The hands look good, and the head looks like it's attaching pretty nicely. I want to give him a little bit more shape in this area, so I'm going to kind of pull up the shoulders a little bit like that, pull them out a little bit more, right? Just kind of, and don't worry too much if your geometry starts to look funky, because like I was telling you before, a nice way of averaging your verts or getting everything to smooth out is to just keep hitting Z-remesh again. See, we get some nice clean geo there. So we got a nice uh, head shape in there, which is kind of cool. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of smooth this out. I think that's good for now. What we'll do next is try to tackle those legs. So go ahead and make sure to save it as well. Keep saving your character template.